Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Center Stage. I'm your host Rajiv Parikh, and today I have with me Alan Tarkowski. Alan is the Senior Director for Global Sales Development at Fortinet. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rajiv. Appreciate you having me.
So tell us a little bit about what Fortinet does. I know the company was founded in 2000, Fortune 500 company, multi-billion-dollar company. What do they do?
Yeah, it's a cybersecurity organization, really well known for next-generation firewalls.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about the organization is the depth and breadth of technology solutions that the business brings to market for everything related to networking as well as cybersecurity.
Okay.
So it's a really diverse solution set and offering, which represents endless opportunity. When I think about the business in general with regards to not only just solutions, as I mentioned, but the TAM, the total addressable market.
Sure.
The combination of those two really yields an exceptional opportunity.
Interesting. And we were talking before we got on camera in terms of your role as global sales development, and I want to dig right in because we were talking about intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about intent-based marketing. What does that look like for you at Fortinet?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And my role is I currently manage about 50 business development representatives.
Okay.
And a majority of my background is in sales, whether it be SaaS technology or otherwise. And the sales development representatives are working leads that come into the business from the countless marketing activities that we conduct. But they also outbound to people that we want to be doing business with in companies that we want to be doing business with. And that is a real significant needle mover when you are focused on growing the business into white space accounts, or white space accounts otherwise known as accounts that you certainly don't have or currently don't have any business going on with.
Sure.
Now, one way of doing outbound is just saying, here's a bunch of accounts, good luck.
Yeah.
And start hunting around LinkedIn.
Dial and smile, smile and dial.
Yeah, something, right?
Yeah.
Face gatekeepers all day, get
Yeah.
shut down all day as
Sure.
the BDR, SDR that's making that effort.
Uh-huh.
And while that's all fine and good, and you'll probably uncover a few gems over the course of the weeks and months of that sort of opportunity or effort to find opportunity, there are so many intent-based technologies out there from companies like Bombora, for example, or Sixth Sense, Lattice Engines, and others, whereby your target audience, again, the people that you want to be doing business with in those companies that you've identified that maybe fit your ideal customer profile or what have you, you've got a bunch of lookalike type customers that you could tell a good story about. There are people in organizations that are out there searching and researching the stuff that you do as a business. So the key is to work with some intent-based technology provider and to give them the accounts, literally the names of the companies that you want to be doing business with, so that they can start then tracking activity on the web that is related to the technology, solutions, products, services, whatever it is that you provide.
Right.
And so what I've seen is that you'll hand over a list of accounts or companies that you want to be tracking.
To the company, intent-based technology
that intent-based technology company. Then you'll hand over a list of keywords that are relevant to your product, your solution, your industry, what have you. And what they'll return back to you, whether it be as simple as something as an Excel spreadsheet, to and through integrations with perhaps a Salesforce.com environment. What they'll give back to you is the list of accounts that are in fact have some score or ranking based on those keywords that are being searched.
Gotcha.
And so the interesting thing now, it's cool in the sense that like, wow, we know that there are companies out there searching for our stuff. And I know the company name. Cool.
What's next?
Yeah, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And that's where I find a lot of marketing organizations kind of grinding on what do we do. Now, with regards to my organization, as I mentioned, we work a lot of all of the inbound leads that come into the various marketing activities that we conduct, and we do just about everything as the size organization that we are and the funding.
MQLs.
Yeah, sure, marketing qualified leads. That's right. So we're working all those, and then and we should talk about this, but alignment of a sales development rep to your sales organization, I think, is a critical topic. So we should earmark that here.
Definitely.
As we go along.
Yep.
But in Fortinet, a BDR is married up to a set of account managers, basically our salespeople, account executives. We call them account managers. And those account managers have a specific set of accounts that they are responsible for selling to.
Okay.
And they have a quota against, of course, selling to those accounts. When I came into the business a little over 2.5 years ago, that was one of the first changes I made, was to align a business development rep, which is really no different than a sales development rep.
Manager.
So I'll use that interchangeably.
SDR, BDR, interchangeable.
Same thing in my world.
Yep.
What I find is that BDRs, that's what they call them. They sit in marketing. If you're an SDR, then
you're in sales.
Then you're in sales.
Right.
It's just who you fall under in the business.
Yep.
But the engagement, the route to market with those individuals, same thing.
Yep.
For the most part. So now you've got a company or a bunch of companies that are searching for what you offer as an organization. The critical part then is to figure out and to check that box of finding the people that you want to be doing business with. Because you already know the companies that you want to be doing business with are surging in some way, shape, or form on the keywords that are relevant to your business. So to do that, there are no shortage of database solutions out there. Many of us, of course, lean on LinkedIn. If you're lucky enough to be able to pay for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, that's all good stuff.
Right.
Otherwise, if you have access to many of the database solutions out there, you got Discover.org, you got LeadIQ, you got Seamless.ai,
right?
And there's plenty of those
Sure.
on the market. But the reality is, you can now leverage whatever contact database you have, or poke around LinkedIn for those relevant titled individuals.
Decision makers.
Sure, yeah. Whether you start at manager and work up, or you start at the top and work your way down. Or go with a specific message to each one based on persona, however you pursue it.
Yep.
You now you've identified the company, you now have identified individuals.
Yes.
At that point, I consider the hunt is on.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the best of ways.
Right.
Because you've identified that somebody in that organization may in fact be researching their options to solve a particular problem that they have in the business.
Alan, I love the way you're framing intent-based technology. Clearly, it's working for you guys. I'm curious. So now that you've sort of narrowed down these companies that have intent to buy based on keywords, you're identifying the right personas, the people, et cetera, your SDRs are doing a much more effective job with outreach. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of success for the company. Maybe you can talk about that in broad strokes, knowing that you're a public company. But let's also talk about sort of the old way of doing things, which is, hey, let's put up a form around gated content. Is that still working, or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. To me, gated content is dead, or it's dying, and maybe a slow, painful death for some folks.
Yeah.
The reality is, the more information out there, from my point of view, the more information out there that your target market can get stuck in with, that they can research, that they can consume and share amongst their colleagues that are responsible for making decisions by committee. I mean, who makes a decision on their own these days?
In a silo.
Very few people.
Right. No.
Right? Unless you're a sole proprietor.
Right.
So if you're in a commercial, if you're $150 million or $100 million and up company, yeah, it's decision by committee for sure.
Yep.
So the more information, I believe, the more information that you're able to put out there, ungated, the better off everyone's going to be. But I believe that also scares the daylights out of marketers.
Because, I mean, that gated content is a form of getting leads in the door. So how does that shift occur then? And yes, I think you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Marketers are going, wait a minute, this is how I'm doing lead gen.
That's right.
So you take away the gate, you're providing this content for free because they need that intel because it's decision by committee. So the more you can proliferate it without a gate, going back to intent,
Yeah.
bringing that together and identifying the personas and the people in the companies that are going to make that decision. Again, let's bring it back to marketers.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Yeah, it's a good question. And like I said, I think it really requires the use of some intent-based technology provider, understanding who the accounts are, the companies you want to be doing business with, and then having some operational capability to even pursue the acquisition of contacts through the various contact databases that are out there at scale.
Okay.
It's one thing for a BDR or SDR to do it like in a onesie, twosie manner, but it's insanely time consuming and
Not very efficient.
not efficient, nor is it effective if a BDR or SDR is sitting there literally copying and pasting first name, last name, title, trying to figure out an email format that actually gets out their phone number into a lead record in Salesforce.
Right.
I mean, that's terribly inefficient. You want to empower or enable your BDR or SDR or even sales organization. They should be prospecting too, to be able to have the information that they need to say, and hopefully within their CRM. At worst, it's in Excel.
Okay.
That's fine.
Sure.
To be able to say, all right, this company is surging on this particular keyword. So I have a story for that company based on their industry or vertical.
Yep.
I certainly have a story for this persona or these multiple personas.
Right.
Maybe it be manager level, director, VP, C level, who knows? Depends on the business. And I'm going to marry those two up to then have my BDR, SDR, or sales person create and execute against intelligent email and even phone scripting and, of course, a general pitch.
And also sales enablement collateral, the right story you want to get out there based on, again, their intent and where they're surging on those keywords, providing the right material that's going to resonate with them.
Yeah, so when I think about it, there's a few different cuts that I think about. I think about the company. So what vertical or industry are they in?
Right.
What keywords are they surging on? What topics of interest are people out there searching for? And then what is the title and the responsibilities of that individual with that particular title in the organization?
Yep.
And if you're using a sales engagement platform like Outreach.io or SalesLoft or InsideSales.com, all of these tools allow you to create what are called either sequences or cadences.
Drip campaigns.
Yeah, it's a series of engagement via phone and email and even social touches over some period of time.
Sure.
And you define that as the sales rep, BDR, or marketer, whoever's putting these things together. And the key is that as you're sending these emails, that content is relevant to the industry and vertical, the keywords that they're searching on, maybe the product, solution, pain, whatever they're trying to solve for, and that individual's role and what they do,
Right.
and what they care about. And all of a sudden, one of the challenges that you face is you all of a sudden have, hundreds perhaps of combinations of industry and vertical and keywords and solutions and personas and titles that you're like, wow, I need to now create literally hundreds of sequences or cadences or email content or email combinations there to be able to engage with these folks.
Right.
So that becomes its own challenge.
Sure. Yeah.
But if you got the right people to be able to write intelligent, thoughtful copy with a strong call to action, it's definitely doable.
Yeah, and I mean, that approach, again, is a really intelligent approach because what you're going to find is your conversion rates are going to be much higher.
Totally. And this is radically different than marketing air cover email.
Yeah.
This is not information that's coming from marketing@company.com.
Right.
It's when it's what I like to always refer to it as street level, when it's from
One-to-one.
person to person.
Right. Yeah. One-to-one combat.
It's real. There's an element of sincerity there,
Sure.
hopefully in tone,
Yeah.
in the email content that you're using.
Yep.
And obviously the relevance, as I talked about, it should most certainly be there. Otherwise, then yeah, just fire up the spam cannon and blast out the same thing to everybody.
Spray and pray.
Yeah, and
It's
see what
no
comes
longer
back.
going to happen here.
That's right.
So let's bring it back to the SDR.
Yeah.
And their relationship with the sales organization.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about that. What does that look like?
Yeah, like I said, the first thing that I did was align an SDR to an account manager, well, in a set of account managers. In fact, the easiest part was to say a BDR aligns to a sales manager, and then subsequently the account managers that sales manager is responsible for managing. Pretty easy. Now, in that alignment, again, is that group of accounts, which matters so much. Because then you have a resource, or in some cases even multiple BDRs or SDRs, that are working on those accounts.
Supporting those accounts.
Supporting those reps.
Right.
So whether it's a land and expand motion, whether it is a pure acquisition, initial engagement, white space type initiative, they are totally aligned, and their quota is aligned to getting into the accounts that group cares about. And,
Makes sense.
And I really believe that has been one of the biggest needle movers at Fortinet, because of the fact that, instead of doing a round robin type thing or just having a group of some BDR that is one of however many, and once in a while you get a lead from some random person, and if you're a field rep based in Ohio, and it's like, yeah, I got some lead from somebody. I don't know. I think it came from corporate. If it's sort of like a faceless type handoff,
doesn't mean as much.
Doesn't mean as much.
Right.
But when that person is side by side, and has the same interest in penetrating these accounts as you do, all of a sudden a lot more gets done. There's a rhythm there that is, I believe, so much more real, and we're always looking for purpose in work.
Sure.
Right. Everyone's looking for that air of success, that air of accomplishment at the end of every day, that element of satisfaction.
Yes.
In what I do, and I've made a contribution.
Right.
When it's just a group of BDRs just launching leads or meetings over to reps at random.
Right.
I don't believe that is that those good feelings necessarily come about in the same way as the alignment does.
Yeah.
And
Much
now
tighter alignment.
and most importantly for the business, that regional sales manager and those AMs have the ability to point and shoot that BDR or SDR wherever they want.
Right.
Which to them gives them control. Which is not too. We don't have much as salespeople in general.
A lot of control.
Yeah, we don't have control. The only thing we control is how we spend our time in the day. We can't control if someone's going to reply to our email or actually sign the deal.
Sure.
Or get the decision maker in the meeting. You have no control over that. We try and try and try.
Yeah.
But when you have any element that you do have control over, that's a feel-good moment in my mind.
Very satisfying.
Yep.
I think it makes complete sense to have that tight alignment between BDR, SDR, the account rep, account manager, and even the field rep.
Yeah.
I think it makes all the sense in the world. Let's change gears to, and again, we were talking about this off camera. We were talking about sort of international expansion and your experience with that, and you are leading a team that's global.
Yeah.
So, what goes into deciding where you want to open a new satellite office?
Yeah, that's a great question and a fun one. Lots of long flights.
Right, you were just in Australia.
That's
right.
right.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, the at Gigya, where I ran sales for 4 years, we started off a couple $1 million ARR. Most of our business was in the U.S., but as we expanded over 4 years to 40 million in ARR plus, there was international expansion that came about as a result of the inherent growth of the business, and I think it was somewhere between the $1 to $2 million of ARR that was coming from the EMEA region.
Okay.
Did we say as an organization, all right, we need to have people on the ground there? And I don't think it was necessarily so much as the sales part at the time as it was the customer success part.
And why did that matter to have people on the ground there?
Great question. Well, I could tell you anybody in England that has to get their day started at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when us in California are just rolling into work on the projects that you're working on, creates for a pretty frustrating day for them.
Sure.
So that pressure alone will drive the need to have customer success on the ground in region. But that said, if you're growing, if you're able to do that level of business in region from the U.S., then imagine what you could do when you get a strong leader on the ground and build a sales organization and customer success around that.
And let's talk about sort of that leader, because we also talked about this. Why is it important, in your opinion, to bring somebody from headquarters to that new satellite office, be it in Europe, in Asia, in Southeast Asia, wherever the location may be?
Yeah, sure. Good question. It's not necessarily that the person from headquarters needs to be the leader. You could certainly have a great leader that is in region and understands the dynamics of the market, the region, the perhaps the market segment you're in, or whatever you do as a business. But what I found, especially in launching the Gigya business in EMEA, was that without having somebody that had the knowledge base of headquarters, that knew how to get things done, that knew some of the stories that sold deals, that were able to navigate through some of the nuances of the technology, of the business, of the pitch. And I'll go back to like who to talk to about how to get that one thing done. That was a really big needle mover. But it took time to get to that point. And what I'm really saying is, and it took time, is the group of folks that were on the ground there were kind of floundering. They were trying to find their way. And what I found is to bring that individual,
the locals that were there,
that we hired, it extended the time to productivity.
I gotcha.
And real significant growth productivity. Where now, in doing that, if I were to do it again, I would certainly find somebody great that's in headquarters that has the ability to spend a year and a half, maybe 2 years in region to bring that mind share there.
Coaching, training, onboarding. All of that.
All of it. Yeah, all great stories.
Great stories.
Those individuals tend to really understand what clients earned or developed, what value out of the solution deployed. So, knowing what I know now, having gone through that journey, I would definitely do that. And in fact, even domestically at Gigya, we expanded outside of the Bay Area to Phoenix, Arizona. And opened an office down there with about 40 people. And that was a difficult journey as well, in that you've got a big group of folks that are trying to find the path to success and pitch and sell. And again, taking that individual from headquarters and putting them in the office to help be that subject matter expert, to be that individual that just knows how to get things done, how to tell the story or stories to really help grow productivity.
So be it domestic or international, playbook is the same.
Pretty similar.
Very similar.
Yeah, get that individual that has that ability to really understand how to sell, of course, right? They've got a history of success selling. But to get them there to be that knowledge base. Big needle mover.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Alan, I want to ask you another question. So, there's a lot of talk about technology and trends and a lot of hype about AI and ML. In your opinion, again, as a sales leader at a Fortune 500 company, why is it important to sort of nurture the person, the people that you're working with, as opposed to putting technology in for technology's sake?
Great question, and something that I think about all the time. In fact, I almost take a protectionist point of view towards my staff when it comes to new technology.
Why is that?
And the reason is because it is so easy to simply add another tool. And before you know it, you've got reps that have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tools, all SaaS-based applications, consuming every tab in every browser and 2 screens in front of them. But what that does is it takes away from the engagement with the prospect and or customer. And what I also believe
Because their head is in the technology, trying to figure it out and make it useful.
Yeah, that's right. And instead of making those other calls or sending the additional emails. But what I also worry about most is the person and the investment in their own skills.
Okay.
So it's one thing to develop their skills in using a technology application. That's all fine and good.
Sure.
But if you have 6 or 7 of them and it's diverting all sorts of time and attention away from what actually matters is people engaging with other people, telling intelligent, valuable stories and pitches to convince that other person to take action. And that is where I believe as the world of sales, we as sales leaders continue to have a lot of work to do there. And it's always been a lot of work.
Right.
Because these are people.
Right.
And we all deserve the opportunity to be invested in. And if you're a leader, your people deserve the time and effort to learn and develop their own skill set, whether it's being more articulate in a phone call, whether it's developing a pitch, whether it's developing confidence in handling objections. All of these things, I think, are oftentimes being overlooked nowadays because the reps are just inundated with tools.
Right.
And so much time is being taken away from actually selling by these distractions.
Shiny objects.
Shiny objects.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So people, lo and behold, we're still the most important thing.
Most important asset.
Yeah,
100%.
when it comes to any organization.
Yeah.
And any leader worth their salt.
Yeah.
We'll say that's the number one group and element of any business is the people.
Yes.
So if I could leave any sales leader with anything, if you've got 5 conversations going on with vendors, take it down to 1 and invest in your people. There's a lot of great technologies out there too. You look at technologies like Gong.io with their text analysis technology to really understand how to have high value conversations, what words to say.
Right.
Word choice is important, and they've made a science of it. So I have a really fond appreciation of those technologies. Now, I'm not a customer of theirs, but I appreciate taking the data and insights that they're able to develop through their technology because it applies to the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Makes
it's a
them
shiny object.
A better salesperson.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
Big fan.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I'm going to switch gears and ask you some different questions.
Sure.
So, Alan, what is your superpower?
What is my superpower? I'm a shade tree mechanic.
What is that?
What that means is I could fix cars.
Oh, there you go.
Which seems to be like, unless you take your car to the dealer or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, who knows how to fix cars anymore? It's still a hobby of mine.
Nice.
So I'm overwhelmed with technology every day, every hour of every day, like the rest of us.
Yes.
I still try to keep it real with tools. So yeah, superpower is the ability to actually dig into something mechanical.
Yeah.
And I won't necessarily say I'll always fix it,
Right.
but I'll do my best to get there.
Sure. Nice. I love it. That's a new one. Do you have any daily habits or rituals that keeps you productive?
I wish I could say that they were rituals, but I'm on go. From the moment I get up, it's just go time for me.
Okay.
And it's sort of just the rhythm of how I carry how I carry myself through the day. But yeah, I get a lot of satisfaction out of work, and that's the spirit of who I am.
So you're a man that's always on the go from the moment you wake up till I guess you're down for the count.
That's right.
So in the spirit of that, is there a way that you're striving for work-life balance, or do you believe that's possible?
I think everybody has a lot of work to do on that front, from what I see.
Yeah.
In certainly in the Bay Area.
Right.
What I find is actually when I get outside the Bay Area, which I think everybody in Silicon Valley needs to spend more time doing that, frankly.
Right. Get out of the bubble.
Get out of the bubble. Go to the Midwest. Go to the East Coast. Go to another country. Yeah, that's right. I grew up in Chicago, so I go back there often to see a family.
Yeah.
But I observe.
And why do you think that's important?
Yeah, I mean, I observe how others live.
Yeah.
That are outside of the bubble.
Right.
That are outside of this this world of endless capital and the leading edge of everything technology.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's one of the raddest places in the world to be, for sure. That's why I've been here for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But perspective is important.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get outside and you realize that, hey, it's a big world and people live their lives in different ways. They don't all operate at the same pace, and certainly not all on the leading edge of technology like we are.
Right.
And I think that's important perspective to bring back.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, what I find is when I travel outside of the Valley is I actually observe people exhibiting work-life balance.
Right. Like, I
Much
wanna
more so than here in
achieve
the
that.
Valley.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. That's
Yeah.
great advice. Great advice.
So what that does is that sort of tempers my lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
and makes me realize that, yeah, you know what? Going to the beach on Sunday morning
Right.
and spending the half the day there with the family and
Mm-hmm.
the pets
Yeah.
is a good time.
Good time. Yeah.
And check out and just enjoy what a wonderful place the Bay Area is, or frankly anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're with the ones that you love and that you want to be with, and
Sure.
having a good time doing it.
Awesome. Awesome. That's all the questions that I have. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with?
Oh, great conversation. Appreciate you having me, Rajiv.
Yeah, great conversation. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm again your host, Rajiv. This has been Center Stage. My guest today was Alan Tarkowski, Senior Director of Global Sales Development at Fortinet. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.